Hey, good morning, everybody. You know what time it is, man. Did I miss my cup of coffee with you or what? It's been a couple days since I've been here on this beach, and I've been able to say it's time for the morning briefing. Hey everybody, it is great to be back with you, fresh in from a trip on the Pride, a 2-day trip. I'll get into that in greater detail with all of you, and of course cover everything else that's going on. First of all, it is truly great to be back with you all, and it is a gorgeous morning here in Surfside, California. The sun coming up, warming my skin, the ocean behind me. It doesn't get any lovelier than it is right now, no question about that. 2 spots left on the Relentless. We're going tomorrow night. We had 2 late cancellations, so if you'd like to jump on that trip, it's a day-and-a-half trip out of H&M Landing in San Diego. Probably going to go south for Yellowfin, Dorado, all of that stuff down the beach there. We have 2 spots for you, and all you got to do is send me a text at 657-227-6459. Jump on board with Friedman Adventures on board the Relentless. She's a great ride, great food. It's going to be a great group of guys, and hopefully we'll put the wood to them. So I hope to see you tomorrow night out of San Diego. All right, what is going on? Let's start you out on the other side of the border because I had some time to talk to my friend Arnie down there out of Ensenada, and he said, hey, we got a little bit of viento down here, a little bit of wind starting to blow, and it's making finding kelps a little bit more difficult for us. Still, good Dorado fishing if you find that right kelp. It's been a little bit spottier here recently. There's yellowfin tuna to the south, and even that has been more hit and miss here in the past few days, Arnie has been telling me. And also they do have a shot at a marlin or two from time to time. They've had an extraordinary season down there out of Ensenada, and if you've never gone down, you've got to try it sometime. Go down there and get on a ponga with a friend or two, and you go out and it's so much fun, and then you get to dine on Baja cuisine and experience Baja hospitality. All of that is so great, and I hope you get a chance to do it really, really soon. So it's a little bit more iffy right now, and I think the wind could have something to do with all of that. Condor up as we cross back into Gringolandia on a day-and-a-half trip. 61 Dorado for 28 guys. They had 2 bluefin and 1 yellowfin tuna. Oh, where did our yellowfin tuna go? I'm sure they've given us the slip for a day or two, and perhaps today we'll get back on those fish. As I said, there is some wind, but that's not going to shut yellowfin tuna off. It may move water temperature edges around. It may shove kelps around. It may reduce water temperature. So we'll just have to continue to watch it and see where we go from here. Now, boats that leave in the morning, like the Grande, not bad at all. 34 guys, 64 Dorado, 64 on the Dorado for them. So there are scores that are ranging from pretty darn slow to decent scores. And again, we're looking for that yellowfin tuna. That yellowfin tuna has been mostly 5 to 10 pound fish, but there are yellowfin up to 60 pounds. There's some bigger grade stuff running around. Most of the time, 25 to 40 pound fluorocarbon. www.optionusa.com has been working really well. 25 to 40 pound fluorocarbon, depending on the intensity of the bite. If the bite's rocking and rolling, you can go to the heavier line. And a 2-0 hook with a sardine they've been providing for bait. But at times, you'll have to drop down to 20 and even go down to a number 4 size hook to get a bite. So have a conversation with the crew if you're a little bit iffy about how to tell the intensity of the bite. Most of the time, you'll get it by the yells and screams and hook up and everybody that goes in the water getting bit. That's when the intensity is really high. That's when you can fish heavier line and bigger hooks. But in all cases, I know, you're reading my mind, and you're absolutely right. Choose a good hot bait. It will make all the difference in the world. Sticking to the offshore theme, the pursuit yesterday, 37 guys, 20 Dorado, 10 yellowfin and 5 bluefin tuna. The Freedom, he hit Clemente and got a little bit of a bite there. So did the Amigo with 50 yellows over there on the Amigo. One fine boat, let me tell you that. 16 yellows on board the Freedom and only 1 Dorado. And the El Dorado had 13 Dorado yesterday. So you can hear, remember I said, one day we're going to wake up and they're going to be gone. Are they gone? No, I mean, maybe. But we just don't have enough time to figure it out quite yet. They could be moving around. They could be off in other areas. Like they could be up there in the Channel Islands where the Aloha Spirit had 35 Dorado in beautiful calm seas yesterday. Absolutely gorgeous day on the water. Or it could be a day like we had on the Pride yesterday where we caught 0. No fish yesterday on our second day. I'll talk about the first day in a second. Of course, we had Bruce Smith running the Pride, a guy that I haven't seen for a long time, but a really capable fisherman and one heck of a nice guy. So what I'm pointing out to you is it doesn't get any better than Bruce Smith. And we looked at a lot of kelps and we were in beautiful water and it was warm, but we could not find a kelp really holding. We had a kelp or two where we saw a single Dorado and they didn't want to bite. So we had a tough day yesterday, no doubt about that. All right, so your offshore situation right now requires you to bring some lighter line. You definitely want to do that. And you want to bring also some of those Daiwa Sakana lures. They work really good. Chrome, something like that in it. That'll get you a bite on those yellowfin tuna. A very, very good idea. All right, let's talk about islands right now. And we'll start you out south of the border. Todos Santos, decent yellowtail fishing still going on down there for the boats that are fishing it. And we may have some pressure on it with the wind up a little bit and the offshore situation more spotty than it has been. So we'll keep our eyes on that for you very, very closely. Up at the Coronado Islands, my friend Bill Wilkerson, he got all over the fish with nice fishing. 14 yellowtail, 30 calico bass, 10 whitefish, and a sand bass to go along with it. Nice going, Bill. Is there anything better than fishing on the Mahi-mahi? I don't think so. The ambiance, the food, the people, and the fishing can be great. Love fishing on the Mahi-mahi. Some really nice fishing indeed. So we'll continue to watch that for you very, very, very closely. Also, as we move you up the coast, San Clemente Island appears to be biting, starting to chew a little bit better. It's been kind of okay for most of the year, but nothing really all that wide open. But yesterday, as I mentioned, the Amigo had 50, I believe, there, and the Freedom was 16. So there's some yellows going on there, and they're big. They're nice, big fish. So you're definitely going to want to bring some heavier string with you. I mean, they lost a bunch on the Freedom yesterday, so you want to have some of that 40-pound for sure. Big hook, like a 5/0 hook, and be ready to rock and roll. Be ready for dropper loop fishing also, as that is a possibility. Catalina Island proper, the island itself, picking a few bonita and barracuda, a couple of yellowtail here there, nothing to write home about. We spent our first day on the Pride at San Nicolas Island, and the thought process was that the offshore situation is pretty tough during the daytime. Maybe we'll get a shot at tuna at night, but in the daytime, it's a little bit tough. So we spent our day catching sheep's head and whitefish and just all kinds of fish. We also had 3 nice white sea bass. It was really fun fishing, no question about it. We also, in addition to that, we're catching some big calico bass, and it was beautiful weather. Couldn't get any nicer than it was at San Nicolas Island yesterday. So everybody on board had fish in the sacks, which is something we wanted to guarantee, and Bruce Smith pulled that one off. Incidentally, I did a really nice podcast, great stuff with Bruce that you can go listen to right now, and it is fantastic. Bruce talks about experiences in Clipperton Island, that tiny atoll located off the coast of Panama out there in the middle of nowhere, where he set 2 world records. He talks about giant yellowtail, his time on the Royal Polaris, his time on the Royal Star, his time on the Shogun, and of course, owner-operator of the Fortune. You're going to want to take a listen to that. We had some great father and son moments on our trip, no doubt about that. Brian and his son Scott were hooting and hollering and having fun. Scott with some really nice sheep's head. Great kid, great father and son. Wonderful to have them on board. And then, of course, it was Jonathan's birthday. And Jonathan is a 15-year-old young man. Today's his birthday, actually. Happy birthday, Jonathan. Hope you're enjoying it. And he came out with Horacio and his father, Carlos, and they are always great to have on board. And guess what? So Daiwa helped us to provide Jonathan with a birthday present. We gave him a new Daiwa rod. And I mean, he was beaming, smiling, so happy as I gave it to him in the studio the night before we left. And guess what? Who do you think catches his first white sea bass? Who do you think catches the first white sea bass on the boat? And who do you think caught it on that brand new Daiwa rod? Yeah, it was Jonathan. It was so nice to see fathers and sons out there having a great time. And you know, both Brian and Carlos have fishing buddies for life in those two young men. It was great. And Daiwa, thank you so much for making dreams come true. That was indeed a lovely moment. So good fishing there. Now, at night, well, actually, in the middle of the podcast with Bruce, I was looking out the window, kind of, you know, watching Bruce, trying to be polite. You know, I'm trying to listen to the conversation, but I'm also looking out the window, trying to see whether or not a foamer might pop up. But sure enough, one popped up. And leave it to Joe Martinez. Joe had a 300-pound bluefin tuna, biggest one this season, about a month ago on board the Endeavor out of Ventura Sport Fishing. Joe gets down on deck and hangs one of those things, and that was a special moment. First podcast I've ever done interrupted by bluefin tuna. Those nasty bluefin, no manners at all. And the funny thing was also, two guys get bit while Joe is pulling on that bluefin tuna. And so we think we got three bluefin going down. In fact, you'll hear it as I'm kind of doing a play-by-play down on deck. It turns out that those two guys snagged a couple of rockfish. Not snagged, they ate the jigs. And so we had a couple of rockfish while we're catching bluefin tuna in the middle of a podcast. Oh my God, that was a really funny moment. No question about that. All right, so you know what's going on to Nick and Clemente. That's all good. And up there in the Channel Islands, they still get an occasional flurry of white sea bass. They also have some good fishing going on with regard to copious amounts of rockfish. That bite has been super good up there in that neck of the woods. Along the coast, probably the standout has got to be the new Seaforth yesterday with a good hit, 16 yellowtail on the half-day boat out of Seaforth Sport Fishing. But they weren't the little ones, man. They were 20 to 30 pounders. So you better bring some heavy tackle for that inshore bite. And then as we move you up and down the coast, we continue to see really good rockfish going on in most areas. Decent bass fishing in Redondo, Marina del Rey, and then up there in the Channel Islands, boats like the Coral Sea out of Santa Barbara, really doing a number on the bottom fish. They have been doing really great stuff up there in that neck of the woods. So, folks, I'll tell you, we're in a little bit of a state of flux, but man, this warm sunshine bodes well, at least in my brain, my small little brain, that it's going to be a good day. We have some wind we're dealing with, and we'll continue to watch all of that for you. And once again, I can't thank you enough for joining me for the morning briefing. It's always a pleasure to share that first cup of coffee in the morning with you. So, thanks everybody. Have a great day. And don't forget, 2 on the Relentless. We have openings. All you got to do is send me a text, 657-227-6459, and we'll get you on board. Thanks for joining us here on the morning briefing. Hey, go check out Bruce Smith. What a great podcast. I know you're going to love it. So many fascinating and great stories. See you soon, my friends.